put this back into your computer then.
No, you're good.
Oh,
You can just leave it right up there.
okay. Didn't know, like I said, if you
Do
need.
you have
that
sound?
for-
Yeah. Okay.
Just the kids talking.
Yeah. Great. That's great. Great.
We're telling people to do more. To turn it back from.
Yeah. Sound. Yeah. Okay. Waiting on the board member, folks, sorry. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this meeting of May 8, 2024 of the Woolsac Township School Directors. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attorney Canyon.
I'd like to announce that we had an executive session this evening for personnel and legal matters.
Thank you. Everything's okay.
Mr. Bjorkman. Present. Dr. Edmonds.
Here.
Ms. Fry.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Lidecker.
Here.
Ms. Lindsay.
Here.
Mr. Richardson.
Here.
Mr. Wenzel.
Here.
Mr. Ziplo.
Here. This evening, we have recognition of guests and speakers. Start Blackman.
Okay, Mr. Andrew Baker is here to present his team some extra vibes tonight. Mr. Baker's been with us for a while now. He's done some outstanding work, and one of the things was to get the extra vibes started up, and he took the team all the way to Worlds already, a young team, and he's got another team here to present tonight. So I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Hi, we're the high school robotics team. I'm Jessica Freer. I have been a member for 5 years, and this is my first year as president. I'm a senior in high school. On our team, we have 4 members this year: James Neely, Violet McLaughlin, and Ethan Wetzel.
Hi, I'm Violet and I'm a sophomore. This is my first year in MEX and I've had a great time so far. We worked as a team pretty well this season. As for designing and building, James took most of the reins, but we helped him in the best ways we could. Everyone got the chance to share their ideas, and when competing, we all got the chance to make ourselves useful. James would control the bot, while Ethan and me would match the 5 balls onto the web. Jess recorded our matches and helped the team out behind the scenes. As for communication, we are all good friends on this team and have no problem with talking to each other positively and effectively. Having great teamwork and communication is one of our primary goals each season, and it definitely benefits our performance as a team.
Hi, my name is James and I'm a sophomore and I've been in robotics.
The games change every year. This year, the game was over under. Each year, you get a different object that your bot has to focus on. This year, it was a tribal. It's pretty self-explanatory from the name of the object. There are many points to get tribals this year for the games. You have to load them onto the court with the robot, as you can see from our flywheel at the top. And you get points from getting it into your offensive zone, which is labeled by the colors, and getting it under your goal, which is also labeled by the colors. There is a blue team and a red team. Another way to get points this year was to hang on the poles, also specified by your team color. And that was optional, and we chose to do that.
Hi, my name is James and I'm a sophomore and I've been in robotics for 3 years now. Our coding this year was severely overlooked as we had a severe lack of experience. And so we focused mainly on the robot and its functions this year. This also wasn't helped by the fact that this year I felt the coding element of the competition was slightly more difficult than previous years. However, next year we go on to hope to have higher functioning code to improve our efficiency and our accuracy and hopefully be able to tackle those harder coding challenges. Our results from this year were that the robot, we thought it would be a good idea to go on and try to perform every task possible. That way we would be able to support our teammate in any way. However, we quickly realized that this was a poor idea as it left us being able to do every task, but nothing perfectly and repeatable and reliable. So next year we'll be going forward, hoping to be able to complete one task efficiently at a time and focusing one at a time, making sure that our robot is very efficient and reliable. This year, we may not have made it to states, but we were recognized for our great sportsmanship with the Sportsmanship Award.
Hi, my name is Ethan and I'm in 10th grade. This was me and Violet's first year doing Vex Robotics, and we were very happy to get to hang out with all these wonderful people. We want to make it our goal to gain more experience building and driving this year. I cannot wait for this upcoming season and hopefully having a bit more experience, make it to states and possibly levels.
And we do have a video of one of our competitions is when we got the hang to work. It will start halfway through because it does take 2 to 3 minutes for each match. But as you can see, there are tri-balls on the field and you can see the other robots pushing the tri-balls under the poles. But ours is the one that's currently extending up and it's going to hang off the top of the pole.
And so our robot right here starts down at right below 12 inches tall and expands up all the way to about, if I can remember, I think around 40 inches high. And that little clip sticks into the top of the pole and pulls it up. This previously during the season wasn't possible because there was a yellow cap on the pole closing the top and you were not allowed to touch that. But partway through the season, they revoked that. And so then you were able to pull into the top of the pole. And so they quickly took advantage of that.
So with robotics, it takes a lot of problem solving with ever changing challenges that we have to face, even with the main goal staying the same.
And here, while the middle school team gets going, I would like to say a huge thank you to Mr. Baker for everything he did for us, and we really appreciate him.
Hello, I'm Holly Snyder, and I'm a part of the 2023-2024 Oil Cycles Effect. We are the Squires. This is Crew, and this is Jeff. They are our drivers. Jackson and I are the coders, and Mac is our help and support. Sadly, Max and Jackson could not make it today. This is our robot, Edna.
She was copied from a person from The Incredibles. She was a billionaire suit designer for the superheroes that made. She was featured in the first Incredibles and second Incredibles.
So the objective of the game was to get, blocks in the 3 red and black colors on the bottom right, left, and top left corners. For the parking zone, you could park at the end of the match to get additional points, and if you cleared out the supply zone, you could get an extra 20 points. The flip the right block, you can see on the little pillars, if you knock them off, you get 5 points. And you had to stack the blocks in the pillars, they had to all be the same color to get all the points.
There are 3 main parts to the Vex. There is Team Challenge skills, which is driving autonomous and using notebook. Team Challenge is where you're randomly paired up with the other team, and you and that other person try and get as many points as you can.
The skills portion is cut into 2 parts, driving and autonomous. Driving skills is when 2 drivers pair up together to get as many points as possible in the 1 minute time span with no other. Drive skills autonomous is when you code your robot to do a path without any driver control to get as many points as the 1 minute time span that you're working.
The engineering notebook it records all of our daily activities and our sessions right after school. It has all of our changes that we did to our robot. It keeps down all the scores that we did for practicing. And
We made it to the Eastern State competition this year for our next team. We, out of 30 teams, we went to the finals and placed. The thing I learned was how to code with a robot.
The thing I learned is that teamwork is the most important thing in VEX.
I learned how to drive a robot properly.
My favorite part was working as a team to build a functional robot that took us.
My favorite part was getting fourth place in the Eastern State Championship.
My favorite part was working together and having fun with everybody.
Some of the future plans that I have for the VEX program, this year we had 5 students that were involved, 3 of them were 6th graders. 5 students is really too much to have on the team. There's always a 5th wheel, so to speak, that was had a hard time doing. So each of the 6th grade students are looking to form their own team next year. And we've already recruited, I guess, everybody for all the teams at this point in time, or at least showing interest in them. So we're looking 3 to 4 middle school teams next year, starting up. I'm focusing on trying to set this up similar to what the Odyssey of the Mind program runs here at the school, where there's a parent advisor for each team, because one person trying to handle 5, 6, 7 teams is, yeah. Anyhow, so parent advisors for each team. I have already set up a summer robotics camp the 2nd week in August, and we will be pairing up with several schools from around the country, actually, that will be working under a set of advisors that have done this in California for several years. It will be set up through Zoom sessions, so the students will actually have the opportunity during that week-long to learn how to build robots and to focus on what it's going to take for this year's competition. Also through my contacts at Penn College, we're setting up with some mentorship programs with PCP. Students are in the robotics and mechatronics program there, where they would come in and work with the students once or twice a week to try and focus, and that would be both at the middle school and the high school levels at this time. We're looking to host one of our competitions here at Royal Sock this January, February, hopefully. We have a wonderful new cafeteria with plenty of space there and no construction going on at the school at this point in time. So we'll probably handle working that in. And all the competitions that we normally go to are 3 to 4 hours away from us. Philadelphia region, East Stroudsburg, I think was the closest. South of Harrisburg, down in the Lancaster region. So trying to get more interest in the robotics in our area and host a competition up here. Could be totally awesome to get all of our teams to the state level at the very least next year. And what would be even greater would be to take a couple teams to Dallas, Texas for the national. And those are some of my personal goals to work with the students as we go on through the year.
Holly and I, as presidents, would like to thank everyone for your support, both the school board members and everyone who showed up today. Does anyone have any questions for anyone? Yes.
What coding language are you using or learning program?
What coding language are you learning?
So we're learning how the robot moves through a VEX program that they have that could hook up to the brains that our robots have. So they use block coding.
For the high school, there's an option between block and C++. I started off in block my first year doing robotics, but next year's I've always in C++.
And it also is alongside the C++ coding is a lot similar to the engineering program, the coding program that you learn in the engineering classes at our schools. It's very. Any other questions? No? Thank you.
Mr. Baker. You're amazing students.
Great work. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have Ben Hepburn, who wants to say a few words to the board, and I think everybody here knows Ben.
I don't have a demonstration, but actually you and I can do maybe some throws if you like. I'm really here just to say thank you to the board for a couple things and maybe explain a few things to you. So as I look around, some of you people can't really take a whole lot of credit for putting me in the coaching spot. Some of you don't even look like you've been born or around for 40 years. So some of you might not even have been here. That's, you know,
Thank
the ladies over there. Probably
She was.
39 and holding. But I really appreciate the opportunity to coach this school. I don't know if you know my background, but my family's farms at Big Hill right behind the football field. I lived here my whole life. And then I came back here and bought a farm on out. And then I raised 5 kids here too. So really proud of them and what they've accomplished. But as far as the wrestling goes, 40 years, that's a pretty long time, obviously. And it's time to move on, obviously. For me, anyhow, I think it's the right choice. But I wanted to thank you for that opportunity. Of course, I want to thank you for the wrestling room, the money that was put in the wrestling room and you guys looking into that and of course, naming it after me. I'm just really thankful that it's not the Ben Hepper Memorial Wrestling. Some of my coaches wanted to, do an award and they wanted to make it the Ben Hepper Memorial Award. And I'm like, no, you have to die first before that happens. But I was dealing with Ricky Tedesco, so that kind of explains that. So I really appreciate all that. And I want to introduce Kevin Warner. He was my 25-year assistant, and he's now coaching at Williamsport High School with the girls team. So I know there's been some talk about getting the girls and co-oping with Williamsport. I hope that happens. Of course, if I was coaching, I'd have to change some stuff now because I would always say, this is wrestling's the toughest sport in high school. That's why girls don't wrestle. And I got to change that, thought because now the girls are wrestling and so on. I did move on and wrestle at Penn State University, and again, this school got me there. I always say I went to Penn State to wrestle, and I fooled around and got an education, and it's really been beneficial to me. I just want you to know, those kinds of things. Unfortunately for me, I graduated when I was 17 from Losac, and I graduated when I was 21 from Penn State. And I look at the age of the guys at nationals. No wonder I got my butt kicked up there. They were, 4 or 5 years older than I was, but it was a great ride. I just want to thank you for that. I also want you to know that I sat on the advisory board for the wrestling for the state. I stepped down from that. So I was well versed in what was going on wrestling wise. And I think that really helped our team here. And I know whoever comes in, hopefully they'll be really interested in doing those kinds of things. I've also been a PIAA official for 40 years. So I may, if I can get my knees back in shape, I may get back on the mat a little bit and do a little bit of that before I finally retire. So you may see me around doing that a little bit. I still would love to help. Our accomplishments, we were the first team to win a state title for Losac, and really proud of that. And I had 8 state champs, and the parents were great. Kids worked hard. But I want to mention to you, and I want just so you understand that it's really hard to get 13 kids at different weights. If you weigh 105, you can wrestle 105 and 112. That's it. You can't wrestle any other weights. Back when I wrestled, coach if you got a body, you put you in there, but we can't do that anymore. I've had 13 kids on the team, and I've only been able to, cover 7 weights just because they all weigh the same, and it's really tough. So think about this. If you had a basketball team with 5 guys on and you said, well, you can only have a center that's 6'6" or better, you might be really hurting at that point. Or if you had your guards and said, oh, the guards, they have to be at least 6 foot, because I've seen some awful small guys playing guards and forwards and stuff like that. So it's a big limitation. I just want you to know that as far as the board goes. Also, I want you to know that the sport of wrestling has kind of gotten a bad rap because, we all seen the guys at lunch not eating. When I went there, we had sweatsuits and we were, not even in class and miserable and our face, they kind of eliminated all that because we have to, once we weigh in, that's it. You're stuck at weights. You can only lose a quarter of a pound or a day. So the kids really have to manage their weights. Obviously, we can all appreciate that as we get a little older, the weight stays on just a little longer. I do want to tell you, I wrestled heavyweight at Penn State and I still make the weight. Okay. I know a lot of guys can't say that, whatever weight they wrestle, they're pretty much overweight now, but I'm still under the 285 mark. But anyhow, I really, again, I really appreciate what you do. Setting on the boards, I've never sat on the school board. But I appreciate what you do. You guys do a heck of a job. I know there's always, trying to make everybody happy is just impossible. I know that. And I just want to heartfelt thank you for 40 years. I've never had to come in front of the board for any disciplinary problems. So, yay for us. I know that kind of stuff happens too. And Jerry has been wonderful to work with. I know, before when you were business manager and now superintendent, he's very supportive, and so is Dan. I appreciate that, all of you, and I know that all I can say is good luck with everything, and I appreciate everything you do. I know it's sometimes a thankless job, and again, I live in the community. I'll be watching, and hopefully we continue to go forward. So I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, and we got Kevin here tonight, and yes, board members, we will have in June, an agenda item for us to look at co-oping with Williamsport for girls wrestling. And Kevin has spearheaded that at Williamsport this year. I'll just throw it out there if you want to say anything at all, Kevin, tonight.
Well, we've had a lot of success. We started with 4 girls that have had experience before up there. And we feel that almost the whole team ended up taking 7 to our region, qualifying 7 to our region, and actually winning the first central region title at Williamsport. We did have some pretty good hammers out there. The Rumsey girls, Danica Batewarn was another co-op from South Williamsport. So that was nice, but we couldn't have done it without a lot of those first year girls coming through and wrapping up 2 or 3 wins at just about every weight class that we've done it. So I'm looking forward to the potential of co-oping with Walsall. I have a plan and I've talked to one of the teachers at this district to bring him up. If that works out, that would be great as one of my assistants. That way, if in the future, the sport grows here at Walsall, have somebody trained, somebody familiar with the PIAA aspect of it. And if you guys want to break off at any point, that's fine. You'd be in good hands with them. So that's my plan. I've talked to some of you guys before about it, so hopefully that works out.
Well, thank you both for everything. Go ahead, Mr. Eglin.
With us tonight, we
You
have
can stay all night or interrupt, or you can feel free to leave. So,
thank you.
yeah.
We have our, complete our local audit for the, June 30th, 2023, year end. We had tonight with us, Randy DePaulo and Chuck Gilmore from Larson Kellett Associates. They've been with us for over 25 years. It's been a pleasure. I know I've learned a lot over the years. 13 years now, going on 13 years, and they will be here to answer the questions, make a few comments. But all in all, I want to thank my business office, Vicki Fair, Todd Winton, James Sorlin, to get through the audit. It's don't want to steal your thunder, but over the years it has progressed into quite a process with all the new requirements, new regulations, throw in COVID and additional grant funding, even millions. All of it has to be accounted for and done properly, and we couldn't do it without these 2 gentlemen with us tonight. I like to say they keep me out of trouble, so I'll turn it over to you guys.
Good evening, and thanks for having us here tonight. As Dan mentioned, we're from Larson Kellett Associates, and we're the local audit firm that was engaged to perform the audit from June 30th, 2023. The main reason we're here tonight is to make ourselves available to you, the board, have any questions related to the audit, and also just to briefly go over what the purpose of the audit was and the two reports issued with the audit. So in general, the purpose of the audit was to issue an opinion on whether the financial statements and federal warrants were fairly stated. Fairly stated meaning were they appropriately reported as to classification and amounts, and could someone rely on them to make a financial decision about the district? One of the first reports we issued, as far as the reports we issued with the audit, the first one is a 3-page letter to you, the board, that contains certain information that we're required to communicate to you as part of the audit. And so I just want to mention a couple of things in there that includes our communication that preparing financial statements involves making estimates. And this letter highlights that there are significant accruals for health and retirement benefits that involves making estimates. And also in the letter, we communicate that we have no difficulties with management. In fact, we're pleased to say that management was very helpful throughout the course of the audit. Does anyone have any questions related to that letter? Okay. And then, so the second report we issue with the audit, the main report that includes our opinion on the financial statements and federal awards. And again, if you have that report, if you do have that report in front of you, I thought just kind of take a look at the table of contents on page 1 and just briefly explain what's in each of those sections. So on pages 2 to 4 is the independent auditors report. That's where we give our opinion on the financial statements. Our opinion on the financial statements was unmodified, meaning that in our opinion, we do believe that someone can rely, that it is fairly stated and someone can rely on them to make a financial decision about the district. And then on page 5 is management's discussion analysis. That's a section completed by management, Dan and Jerry, where they can highlight anything that occurred during the year and also include some comparisons to the prior year budget. Some narrative information there. And then in the going to the financial statements, on pages 6 and 7, these are the government-wide financial statements. Basically, it's balance sheet and liability that includes all of these fund financial statements that are part of the district, with the exception of the fiduciary funds, which I'll mention in a moment. And the key difference between really the government-wide financial statements and the fund financial statements is that it's prepared on the full accrual basis of accounting, which and the biggest thing with that is that certain additional items are included in there that aren't on those fund financial reports, like capital assets and long-term debt related to bonds and health and retirement benefits. So that's why you'll see the difference between those reports there. And then on pages 8 through 11 are the fund financial statements for the governmental funds. This is your general fund, capital projects, debt service funds. And these will probably look more familiar to you as far as what you're looking at when you're doing budget. Because they're on the modified accrual basis of accounting, so it doesn't have those capital assets and long-term debt liabilities on there. And those 2 pages with the reconciliations, those actually, they show how those fund financials ultimately do get converted to the balance sheet and income statement for the government wide. Then on page 12 through 14 is the financial statements for the proprietary fund. This is for the food service fund or cafeteria fund. Pages 15 and 16, this is a balance sheet income statement for the fiduciary funds. These are funds that the district holds in more of a custodian aspect. This includes the scholarship funds and the student activity clubs. And then on pages 17 through 47 are the notes to the basic financial statements. As Dan mentioned, the requirements for disclosures have expanded quite a bit over the years, and basically that section gives a lot more detailed information about items that are either in the financial statements or that could affect the financial statements. And then on pages 48 through 53, that required supplementary information. Just as it sounds, these are additional supplementary schedules that are required as part of the audit. Most of them have to do with information related to retirement and post-employment benefits. Also, there is on page 48, the budgetary comparisons for the general fund, which compares budget and actual results for the general fund. And on pages 54 through 56 is the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. This is also referred to as a CFA and the notes with it. Related to federal awards. For the year ended June 30th, 23, the district expended approximately $3,150,000 of federal funds. And during the single audit, one federal program was selected for testing. This was the COVID-19 Education Stabilization Fund, what commonly referred to as the ESSER programs.
Yes. That it's when he referred to single audit, that's what the federal government calls the audit of the federal fund. So.
Yeah, and as I'm sure most of you're aware, the federal funds, each of the grantors, have different requirements as far as how the funds can and how they can be spent. So that's the one we looked at was for the ESSER program. And that program had federal expenditures of approximately $1,414,000, which was approximately 45% of the total federal expenditures for the district. And then the last page is there for the single audit reports. As part of the audit, we do gain understanding of internal control and processes that go into the financial reporting and management of federal awards. And these reports here detail, any items that were needed to be reported related to internal controls or the results of compliance testing with the single audit with the ESSER program. Anything to add?
No, we haven't done it in a while. We just wanted to kind of highlight what was contained in this financial statement package to kind of, maybe give you a better idea of what this is supposed to report, the different sections. If you have any questions in particular about the audit process or the audit package, we'd be happy to entertain them, which that's really the main purpose we're here. But each year we see changing faces on the board, and I think it's, we've been given a little bit shorter presentation in past years. We just thought we'd go into a little more detail here, just to hopefully better explain, what all this is.
So that anyone has any questions?
I just want to thank you, Justin. It's always a pleasure. I know it seems like we're together more and more as I look at the federal awards. Back when we started, it fit on half a page. Now it's 2 pages. A lot of additional, revenue streams coming in that have to be, look at every dollar cent where it goes, and are we following the guidance in order to spend those funds. It's not easy. We're happy that we're given those resources on the back end. It is very challenging to make sure we're going spending these funds appropriately. But again, without being able to call you guys and, you know, ask questions, because a lot of it is up to interpretation that we give them. You know, thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of interpretation, especially a lot of, related to a lot of these new federal programs. Some of the rules were written after people spent the money.
Yeah.
So let's figure that out.
Yeah.
It's a governmental accounting is just convoluted and complex, and they're coming out with never-ending rule changes and related to the financial statement presentation, how you calculate numbers, and the compliance with the federal, the spending of federal dollars is just ever changing. So it's definitely a challenge to keep up with. Does anybody have any questions about the audit?
Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate
Yep,
you
thanks for having us.
walking us through that.
Thank you.
May we be excused?
Yeah, certainly.
Not too late to leave, Ben.
Thinking about Ben's robotics. Coaching robotics. At this time, we'd like to open the floor to public comments. We ask that anyone wishing to speak, please state your name and address, and please limit your comment to 3 minutes. Also, we are live streaming as we have been the past few months, and we are taking questions via email. Mr. G, do you have anything submitted?
No, sir.
Questions, no comments? Any comments from the public at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next agenda item as recommended by the board secretary. The board approved the minutes of the following meetings: April 3rd, 2024, April 25th, 2024. May I have a motion? Second.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Is recommended by the business manager, the board approved expenditures from March 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2024 as presented. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Thank you. Questions or comments regarding the bills from this period?
Thank you. I have questions. Maybe I just got the vote. Or 01, looking at the valley, which one student, others, I'm sure. I've noticed that maybe I haven't.
I believe they come here when Susan got there. That just started this year, I believe. It wants to near Sugar Valley, Burger.
Yeah. We have recent staff actually go there and it's like a side starters thing. They live in Wild Thought and go there. Where you drop.
So, and then 64064, the law firm of Marshall Denny, Warner Coleman and Goggin for interim service rendered through February 29th, 2024 legal service.
That's through a student, not here, a special education student that the new process, that was run through our insurance, but that's what we had to pay up through the deductible. That has been since, and closed.
Thanks.
Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Recommended by the business manager, the board approved the attached treasurer's report for the month of March 2024. And has a motion.
Motion. Second. questions or comments on the treasurer's report? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Recommended by the business manager, the board approve the attached student activities fund quarterly report for the period ending March 2023, 2024. And a motion. Second. You. Any comments regarding student activities fund report? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. It is recommended by the business manager of the board accept the independent auditor's report as submitted by the firm of Larson Keller and Associates as presented. And a motion.
Motion.
Second. Second. Dan, any more questions or comments on the report?
No, again, like I said, I just want to thank their staff. It is, they come 3 times a year. 1 week over the summer, 2 weeks in the fall, then come back. After they leave the write-up, make sure nothing else is happening between us. So it is a lengthy process, but again, we do it without the business office staff. They're really the ones that are with them every day. Flying.
Thank you all for keeping us in line. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It's recommended by the business manager, the board adopt the 2024-2025 proposed final budget with revenues and expenditures of $28,278,855 with taxes as presented.
So
Thank you.
I'll just comment, until the state, gives us any information on the, governor's budget that was proposed, very little has changed. We're really waiting on 2 big ticket items, one being the IU special education, budget, which we did just receive. That came in at $650,000. That's to service all our students in IU classrooms. And we budgeted $700,000, so there's $50,000 savings. However, with the recent closing of Justice Works, that displaced some audit students, now have to pay a premium to find those students placements. So I transitioned that $50,000 to our audit line item in the budget. The other changes, we received the real estate reduction allocation, which is the state's gaming revenue stream that came in that was allocated to schools. This year it went up $100,000 from last year, which we wish we could offset our budget by $100,000, but what happens is it's taken off the taxpayers' bill under the homestead farmstead reduction. So that $100,000 will be taken off of our real estate revenue, and we'll get it in the form of a subsidy from the state. So the amount you see in front of you has not changed since April. We are looking and waiting. I believe Mr. McGraw is good with Senator Hall. We don't believe budget talks, serious budget talks will happen until the end of May, beginning of June. We're still looking at that $540,000 deficit, but keep in mind, we did take a very conservative approach in our revenue projections until the state divulges their budget. And again, I only incorporated about half of what the governor has presented in his preliminary budget. So hopefully it'll be somewhere in between there that I'll be able to add to that and offset that deficit by June 12th, I believe is the next meeting. So.
No questions or comments? Mr. Egley, roll call.
Mr. Bjorkman, Yes. Dr. Edmonds? Yes. Ms. Fry?
Yes.
Mr. Dean?
Yeah.
Mr. Lidecker?
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay? Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mr. Wenzel? Yes. Mr. Zuccolillo?
Yes.
It's recommended by the secondary administration, board approve the attached program of studies for the Lowestoft Township High School and the Lowestoft Township Middle School for the 2024-2025 school year. May I have a motion? Motion. Second. Thank you.
Yes, we have our program of studies, Mrs. Ackerman, Mrs. Siegel are here. If you have any questions regarding the program of studies for next year.
I have a question. The CTC that's listed in here, how are those program study competency requirements factored into a student GPA, or are they at all? I know they just checklist they go down. Is that factored into I know the general education requirements, but in terms of the student going there, are they?
Their teachers over there grade all of the students, and then they send us a weekly attendance report and a weekly grade report. And then we just upload those grades. They go into, that's basically 2 electives into their report card, and then just calculate it into their normal GPA.
Okay, so they have a competency check that they're completing, but then also actual academic grading that signs with, okay. Okay.
You don't see, all the AP classes that are listed, is there, are they listed because we have a teacher certified to teach them, we would teach for each one?
Correct, but at this time, like those are all listed in our program of studies, but we're actually still running reports, not saying that they're officially going to run or not, which actually are with our interest level right now. Especially for like 2 areas is fairly low, so I kind of weigh if they're running or not, but yes, all the ones offered are certified teachers or teachers in training.
And that's why, and so we don't have AP biology because there isn't something certified in teaching.
Correct.
Thanks.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It is recommended by the superintendent, the board approve the attached agreement with River Rock Academy LLC for educational services during the 2023-2024 school year. May I have a motion? So.
Yes, many of you are aware that we had one of our alternative education placement agencies, Justice Works, they closed down within the last month. Our team did a lot of work to try to come up with placements for our students. Frankly, in our area here right now, we are very limited with alternative education options. We're sending several students up to River Rock Academy in Canton. That is a 45-minute bus ride, or van ride each way. But we are looking for options. We hopefully next year in the learning services talking about into the area for an alternative education program. And River Rock is also looking at facilities in the area to possibly purchase to set up programs. I did go tour River Rock facility in Newville, Pennsylvania. That's one of down at Campbell and Shermanstown to look at some of their programs. They have been in contact with some of their county superintendents and are looking to see a market, and obviously we don't have really anywhere to send our kids right now. They treatment locally, so I anticipate that we're going to have some other options going into next year that are better for our kids.
In favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It is recommended by the high school administration, the board approve the attached list of high school seniors for the 2024 graduation, pending completion of all graduation requirements. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I know the high school staff and counselors are working vigorously to try to get all the kids across the bar. Whether it be through some test results, whether it be through graduation pathways, and certainly our goal is to get everybody to achieve, but we do have some students who still have some work to do between now and then. Cecily, am I adding?
So I know we submitted the list, but the list changes every day, so I'd say around 120, but like Mr. McLaughlin said, like we have a couple kids at placement right now, we just had a bigger meeting this morning, I feel like there's 6 kids that are trying to, like, they've met kind of the academic standard, but through the chapter 339 plan and the graduation requirements, if they don't pass those Keystone exams, they're going through alternative pathways, a service learning project, or potentially another credential. And that too, like a CTC or a NOCTI or an ASVAB or a PSAT or an SAT, there's numerous ways, but a lot of those kids, and some of them have been transient, not all of them, but they're missing pieces. So again, I feel like there's 5 or 6 right now that we're really working hard with to ensure that they graduate and meet those requirements.
With all the pathways now that our seniors have. School students in general, is there a clear cut formula or path for class rank? Because there's so many pathways, I mean, how would you ever compare the straight academic versus CPC versus maybe the work school balance?
It's a little bit easier, I think, with our internal, but I feel like it is a lot harder with the partnerships with the programs. I think the biggest thing right now that we're looking at and evaluating is actually some of the dual enrollment, which I think is a great opportunity, but some of the rigor, I don't know is there compared to some of our own.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Without the system. Any opposed? Motion carries. Recommended by the athletic director, the board approved the following athletic ticket prices for the 2024-2025 school year as presented. I have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Morrison, would you like to comment on our ticket prices for the
Sure.
upcoming school year? please?
They are essentially the exact same slate as we had last season. There are some schools locally that are starting to bump a little bit, not everybody, it's not overwhelming. I don't necessarily see a massive need to do that. I think by the time we get a large family, if we have a large family that comes in, they're spending nearly $20 potentially to come and see a game. I don't necessarily think that we need to increase that very much very soon. So I like having it kind of kept where it is. It puts us on average right around the rest of the schools in the area for the most part. Like I said, there are some in the leagues that are bumping some of the varsities to a $6 instead of a $5. We are also, in my opinion, not looking to go fully online like a lot of other places are. I don't appreciate adding the fees and everything else. We are looking at an online option for families that want to be able to pre-purchase tickets and have it. So we are looking at hometown ticketing since it's what the PIAA uses for everything else as an option. I may consider having that be our season pass possibility. I'm gonna look at that through the summertime. I'm gonna work with Mrs. Iacchini behind me and work through that process and see if that's a good way to handle the family passes and have it online so that it's right there for folks. They can scan it on the way in and be good. But in terms of prices, I'm pretty comfortable where we're at right now.
So is the rule is just if it's inside the building or in the stadium, we charge. The sport anywhere else is free.
If we have the ability to charge, we charge. If it's inside a fence, if there's a gate.
I've been to other school districts where you go to see a sport, it might be baseball or softball, where there isn't a controlled access, but they have someone standing there, you're willing to pay for your ticket, they'll take your money. Down if you go run around.
A good example is Central Columbia. They have almost a controlled access road. They offer that's one of the reasons they can host some of the baseball softball playoffs, because they can do that. They basically stop the car on the way in.
I was saying there's places I've been where they don't have control of the access, but they sit someone there. And if you could go around them, they're not chasing you down, but if you walk up to them, they take your money.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily feeling like we need to go that route yet.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Due specifically to your financial support, to be fair. I mean, so thank you for that.
Any other questions for Mr. Morrison? All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed?
Motion carries. It is recommended by the business manager, the board approve the following school breakfast lunch prices for the 2024-2025 school year as presented. Have a motion.
Second.
Thank you.
I'll just comment that, they do reflect a 25-cent increase, but keep in mind, this is only for adult and additional lunches for students, because we are part of the CPE program. We were in that 2 years ago. Every student gets 1 free breakfast, 1 free lunch. We are enrolled in that for 4 years. We will bring that back to the board for this bill. By then, the way I see the federal level, I believe, by that time, all schools, will most likely be under the CP program. So, I know many school districts in the area have, converted to that. Let's be the first, so, our participation is through the roof. I'm crowding almost 80% participation for students, receiving a lunch. Breakfast is up in 60–70%, which will blow schools out of the water. The amount of kids getting eating food that's provided by them from the district. So, Pat Bucknagel will be giving a presentation here over the summer or early fall to give you more insight into that. But our food service program is rocking.
And they're still self-sustaining.
Self-sustaining, the general fund is not reimbursed the food service fund, the proprietary funds that the auditors were discussing since 2008, 2010. Yes, very fortunate.
No. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. It's recommended by the high school administration, the board approve a request received from Michelle Hartley. Mrs. Hartley is requested to take approximately 7 students out of state to the 2024 World Finals Odyssey of the Mind competition in Ames, Iowa, from May 20th to May 26th, 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. We did have a secret preview of their competition run through prior to our executive session this evening, and there are some amazing creative students and parents and coaches helping those folks out. So we certainly wish them the best in Iowa. Any other questions or comments from the board? Obviously, we can't talk about their problem solving and what they're doing. Keep that secret, but it's pretty impressive group of students. Anything else? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and we wish them well. Recommended by the business manager, the board appoint Nina Davidson as a full-time assistant cook supervisor, effective April 15th, 2024, as presented.
Motion. Second.
Thank you. Do you have any comments on this, Davis?
Ms. Davison comes to us with a lengthy background and experience in food service. She's been the assistant living and running her kitchen for 25+ years, and she's started as being a grade over there. And like I said, that's the reason it separates us from other schools in the food service department.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It is recommended by the athletic director, the board appoint the attached revised list of spring athletic personnel pending documentation for the 2023-2024 sports season. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Be abstaining. Let's vote. Some pumping coach baseball. Not that I will see any benefit in this financial gain. I'll still abstain. Yes. transparency reasons. Any questions or comments on the list that was sent back out? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It's recommended by the superintendent, the board appoint Jeffrey Valello as a school resource police officer and to grant Jeffrey Valello jurisdiction to exercise said authority and power of a school resource police officer for the Woolsack Township School District pending documentation and certification and an order of the Court of Common Pleas of Lycoming County pursuant to the public code at 24 PS. May I have a motion?
So.
Just briefly on that, Mr. Bilello worked here before, I'm locally 12 years ago as a school resource officer to Pennsylvania State Police. He's actually one of the original officers. He's recently retired from Pennsylvania State Police, and he will be a great addition to our force.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. It is recommended by the business manager that the board terminate Timothy Harrod as a full-time facility employee effective April 25th, 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Thank you. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It is recommended by the business manager, the board approve the attached list of custodial maintenance employees for the summer of 2024. Summer custodial maintenance employees will receive an hourly rate of $14 per hour. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Very good.
Just hoping to get them sooner than later. And if anyone else out there knows of anyone who would be interested in summer work, please let us know. Unfortunately, over the last week, I received 2 resignations in custodial, and I had a maintenance position filled, but they just told me, so they won't be. So please, if you know of anyone, let us know. We are in, the thick of end of school with graduation, student activities occurring, and we need more hands to that. So please, if you know of anyone.
All in favor? I'm sorry, Mr. Moore.
Question. Dan, is this occurring every year? You have like a contract for summer, July, August for custodians? How's that work?
Yeah, so we always try to look for either current seniors or even juniors or any student graduates that are looking for summer work, or really anyone. We don't really advertise it because we typically have a crew that return and they tell their friends or other class, and hey, it's a great. Some years we do advertise. Yes, it is.
But just recurring.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The board acknowledges notice of the following retirements, resignations. Mr. Bradley Gray, Principal Dean of Students, resignation tentatively June 30th, 2024. Scott Knoll, Technology Specialist, resignation effective May 6th, 2024. And Suzanne Waters, Paraprofessional, retirement effective June 13th, 2024.
Yes, certainly we have some big holes to fill with all 3 of these individuals. All have done outstanding work for the district, some for a very long period of Waters and others for a short period of time, but we're out there advertising at this point, and we're hoping to get some folks here to bring to you in June for recommendation.
I will have the nomination of Dr. Edmonds by myself. Have a second.
I will second that.
Thank you. It is recommended by the board, the secretary cast the ballot electing Dr. Edmonds as treasurer for the 2024-2025 school year. Mr. Egley. Dr. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bjorkman,
Yes.
Dr. Edmonds,
It's a matter of order. Am I supposed to abstain?
Okay, yes.
Ms. Fry,
Yes.
Mr. G,
Yes.
Mr. Lidecker,
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay.
Yeah.
Mr. Richards. Yeah. Mr. Wenzel.
Yes.
Mr. Zagor.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It is recommended by the superintendent, the board approve the attached upcoming career and technology center budget. It's attached to the 2024-2025 school year.
Motion.
Thank you. Welcome, coming in there.
Yes, our tuition costs per student looks like an increase from $5,939 to $6,048 per student. That's a 1.83% increase. The other item of significance is, like I was looking at a building project down there, and we have put in for, as they presented, a $5 million grant through the state, competition for that. If we are selected for that, we have to pay a fee for the company who's doing all the work, but that would be a $25,000 assessment for all participating schools for that. So I think that's a small price to pay. I mean, I think our overall, if we can get the entire grant, even though it's $600,000 over a 2-year period among 6 schools, but we received $5 million. So that is still in process, and we should hear something on that by summertime here.
Also, if they don't receive the grant money, then the company does not charge.
Doesn't cost us anything.
Comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. It is recommended by the superintendent, the board approve contributions of 1/3 of the total estimated expenditures not to exceed $5,000 for student participation in the following competition: Odyssey of the Mind World Competition, World Finals Competition. May I have a motion? Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Just a little history for our new board members. In the past, we have supported 1/3 for some of these groups, whether it be Odyssey of the Mind or Vex Robotics or other groups that have competed at the highest level. And their estimated budget this year is $15,000. I do know that, with this 5,000, and I believe the foundation has also pledged $1,000 this year toward Odyssey of the Mind.
And the district does for that cost, and it's a good stuff, so they would be included from the money that they get out of the district. Sure.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Recommended by the superintendent, the board authorize the purchase of a laser cutter for automated manufacturing for the technology education program from Forest Scientific Corporation. Funds for this project will come from the capital projects funds. It is known the district received funding in the amount of $12,213 for a venture grant educational improvement program, First Community Foundation Partnership in Pennsylvania. Can I have a motion? Thank you.
Yes, Todd Morrison, our technology education person, came to us this year, and he was having some problems with his existing laser cutter. It's about 10 years old. He had priced out a new one, and we worked with him. And he actually wrote the grant for the First Community Foundation. He had funds available, but it has to meet certain criteria. So he completed that grant from start to finish, and we are able to secure $12,000 toward our funding. We will continue to use what I would say is the old laser cutter, but not nearly as heavy as we do now. Once we get it in. Yeah, I think all kids all the way through, we have some middle school kids who will be using the high school, basically the entire middle school, high school population. That's awesome.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Recommended by the board appoint Jacqueline Lindsay as a 2024 voting delegate to the PSBA 2024 Delegate Assembly. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Go past.
So this delegate would be voting on our behalf at the PSBA in November on their policies and bylaws. That can be done in person or via Zoom on November 2nd. We appreciate having this lengthy represents. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. It's recommended by the superintendent and the athletic director, the board approved the softball program to continue to utilize Short Park softball field while working with the township to provide adequate amenities for the 2024-2025 school year. Additionally, the board authorizes administration to continue to pursue other options for facilities for the softball program and for this project to be considered part of a long-term facilities plan coinciding with reduction of bond payments after the 2026-2027 school year. May I have a motion? Second. Thank you.
Yes, I think we've had many discussions regarding this item. We even as through our work session extensively, the conversations with Mr. Larson regarding the investment that we made into the fields at this point. We're also looking at the current Short Park complex, investing in a proposed building over there, and we met with Mr. Burdette, Mr. Egley, myself, Mr. Bauer, Mr. Larson, and we discussed having a space to almost dedicated to our girls softball team. So they've come back with some drawings there. Last week, the board approved to move forward with that to address some of those concerns that have come forward to us, field conditions, as well as a changing area for our softball team. We're not saying this is the final, obviously, for softball, but we know that we'll continue to do some research. We want to make sure that we make a good decision. We have managed the district finances and know that our bond issue payments are going to drop significantly in 26-27. We have many competing projects, on the table. Two in particular, I think the auditorium, and we looked at that many times as to needing an expansion. Way back in 2004, we tore down the middle school. We lost one of our auditoriums, so they're shared. And at this point, basically, we can only own either the middle school or the high school, but just we still have this on the books, and we want to continue to do our research. But we just, from our standpoint, we want to make a good decision. Mr. Larson to jump into.
Yeah, I think that the board's comments in the last work session came through pretty clearly, that it sounded like there was a pretty decent consensus that we should continue to move forward with looking at the right options for softball, but treat that within the scope of many other projects as well, to kind of look at a long-term process. The meeting with the township went particularly well, so I'm hoping that we are able to enhance what was at the light building and provide our girls competing there with the space that they need to utilize that field even better. My hope is that we can continue to work on the surface and make sure that that's in good condition every fall, so that when spring comes around, it's ready to go.
I want to address a couple things in this. I certainly like the idea of playing ball at Short Park. The field is there, we can maintain it, we can put money into maintaining it. I think the new building will help a lot and fulfill a need that we said that we had. I don't know that we need to continually keep looking to bring the softball field on campus. It displaces other teams. From our discussions we've had, and that part of the motion I don't care for, starting an additional. The first part of the motion I certainly agree with. The second part I don't. I think we have some other projects, as both Mr. Lewis and Block have said, that we're looking at. And I think that's I think the softball thing is like.
Hello, actually build off what Mel said. I have a question. This is more of an agenda item, not the content. It looks, as I read through this, unlike other agenda items I've looked in the past too, that there are 3 items contained in here that we can actually break out and vote on. So I wanted clarification, because it looks like we could vote on first, as Mel pointed out, approve program, the board will approve the softball program to continue, et cetera, until the end of that second school year. Additionally, that could actually be another voting piece. The board authorizes administration to continue to pursue other options. And a third piece, the board would consider this project to be considered part of a long-term facilities plan. So it's not I agree with Mel, point one, and questions about the other two. So it's not so much of why are we voting on this, but is there a way, and maybe Chris, this is a question for you, from an agenda standpoint, would the board be agreeable to breaking these three items out? Because to me, it seems they would each be standalone and we can vote on those. I don't know how we would approach that, but that's just my question there.
From how to do it at this standpoint where we're sitting right now, meaning two individuals, Dr. Edmonds and Mr. Whitaker, who have already made the motion and seconded, would have to actually rescind their motions, and then we would have to bring each one of these forward independently of the motion and second and a vote.
I'll rescind my motion. I'll rescind mine. And I'll initiate another motion on first. Is recommended by the superintendent, athletic director, the board approve the softball program to continue to utilize James Short Park Field while working with the township to provide adequate amenities for the 2024 school year.
Second. I have a comment for your discussion in minutes. Mine is basically about the second half or the third half of this, about extending the softball construction into 2027.
Can we vote on the first? We discussed just the first and then go to that.
Yeah, we have a motion on the table, unless you're discussing something on the motion.
Go ahead.
We're only now talking about the first sentence, using the softball field 2024.
As a matter of health, if we voted, this would bother us. I'm happy to make a second motion on that, a second piece, and then I think that would pertain to your questions. How would we vote?
I just want to say something about the first piece of this motion. While I'm in favor of this for the 2024-25 school year, any person who's had any kind of long-term exposure to that field over there knows that that field is not a long-term solution. It's not a location where the field is gonna survive. It's gonna constantly need a lot of work. It's not appropriate long-term solution. Softball it's been repeatedly an area where we've had to do things and repeatedly have been in poor condition for girls softball. I just don't think that, I think it's not a long-term solution. I like the solution that we have now for this next year to at least the fields are to have a deep ability there as far as changing, if you change that. But I don't consider it a long-term solution.
Any other comments regarding the motion on the table?
So again, the motion that has been brought forward is the board will approve the softball program to continue to utilize Short Park softball field through the remaining part of that sentence ending at year period.
Yeah. Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? First motion. This item carries.
Madam Board, would you like to make, knowing what the strategy is, would you like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, or would you like us to come up with?
I'm gonna continue. All right. We have the motions in order, ready to go.
All right, the board authorizes the administration to continue to pursue other options for facilities for the softball program. That's my motion.
Questions or comments regarding this motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Finally, I'll make a third motion for this project to be considered part of a long-term facilities plan coinciding with production bond payments out of the 2026-2027 school year.
I have a motion.
Sorry, that is my motion.
I'm sorry, just.
Second.
Yeah, I'm second.
I'll comment on this thing.
Richardson.
The softball field discussion has been in play for 8 months now since last fall. We as a board have gotten nowhere besides talk with little to no progress except for some basic designs that we have done nothing with. I chose to vote no because I am an advocate for giving the girls an on-campus softball field. And by the majority of the board voting yes to this agenda item, although originally it had the locker room in it, but I'll cross that off. We are delaying the possibility of a new on-campus softball field happening for a minimum of 3 years. Since October 2023 to present day, we had numerous residents with interest in softball speak to the board members about a softball option on campus consistently at several board meetings. Let's remember, this is one area that has received a lot of local support during board meetings, and if no one speaks up, we couldn't be here today addressing this topic. As residents of the community, we want to hear from you. Education isn't the only thing that helps shape the children of this district. Sports participation is a major player as well. So if a question of why we should invest in a new sports field, let's remember the district invests in education, and sports is one aspect of this investment. Youth sports benefit kids in 5 ways: improve physical health, improve mental health, promote social connections, improve academic performance, teach important life skills. The 5 benefits of youth sports should make you realize how important it is to invest on our youth athletes by showing you the valuable life lessons it teaches, as well as the benefits in the classroom on how they work together hand in hand to shape these young children to develop life skills. Investing in an on-campus field gives the girls a sense of pride and makes them feel valued. So rather than continue to spend money annually on a current field for repairs, which is in a flood zone that the school district doesn't own, let's show these girls we care about them as much as the boys and get this accomplished sooner than later. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments? Last motion.
As far as, it's being considered part of a long-term facility plan, you think that's appropriate, but I feel like, at some point, we should involve the community and stakeholders in the committee in deciding what we're gonna do with return to a long-term plan. We're gonna incorporate what we're gonna do. I know there's issues about auditorium, this issue about our green space, an issue about whether it's adjacent land that we can acquire. I think it would be appropriate to, it's a big enough thing that, the committee trying to do more than this, more than just, the administrative decision going forward. For deciding what that's on.
Just a point there that made is the motion that's on the table again, specifically saying that because of the bond payments, any project related to this would not be considered until that bond payment fell off. And I guess, Dan, that is a question for you, or is it very definitive, concrete? Because of previous motions spoke to pursuing other options, this one is very concrete in that after 26. So there's some clarity there. That what we're saying.
The reason that was put in there was if you were asking for my recommendation from a finance standpoint, that would be it. Just because we could, I'm not, you can do whatever you want, but just from a financial standpoint, because I would utilize same wraparound debt tactic, I would say, as far as structuring debt, because I do have a 5-year plan. I can share it, see everything that we have on the docket over the next 5 years. But that's where, in my opinion, the best fit, judging by the amount on you're looking to do, like a softball field plus an auditorium and these other little things that add up. If you're asking for my opinion, that's where it would make sense for the finances.
That's not to say that
But it's not
we
to say you
can't in the meantime say 6 months down the road, a year, 2 months down the road, the board says we found another way to make this happen on campus sooner than later, and this board can make that happen.
Sure, and that's what it's too is.
Even if you vote yes or no on this next motion for the waiting for the bond reduction in 2026. Still do something on campus prior to.
I would just say it's giving the board, the board are giving the administration some direction on how to plan. You're doing that strategic plan. It does not limit you if they find alternate solutions in the interim to actually bring something forward to the board for consideration within that same week. So if something came up next year where you found significant amount of funds to do a set of projects, you could very well still go, this is not handcuffed you to waiting until that period.
Excuse me, Bob, correct me if I have it wrong, but my impression is the goal would be if we do something going down to the bond payment, to have a plan in place beforehand, so it gets started right away. It's not like we're gonna start figuring it out, then, but figure out before then.
Dan, you had mentioned in a work session before that, correct me if I'm wrong, that we had lucky left over the construction project where we originally talked about, and this softball field was getting a lot of attention from the public. What happened with that funding, or what's the plan with that? Because you mentioned.
We're gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass this out, I brought it with me just to show everyone, here's that plan that we discussed that I had, our capital, you'll see on the last page, it has all the, it has that one, the projected. The projected ending balance is on the last page, you'll see at the top there, and that's up over from the current one. But when you look down through all the things that are on there, like, you know, replacement of school buses, to generators, to paving projects, again, and then I put in consideration auditorium, softball field, and when you put those all in there, obviously it's more than what we have left over. And I just put potential bond issue in 25, 26. So in 26, 27, potentially the board could pull the trigger on something. A lot is contingent on bond rates, you know, so if something were to happen in the market a year from now, rather than, you know, 2 years from now. You know, a lot of things can change that, because, you know, funds are up, there's no financial stuff. So, but again, this is just a draft, it's just an idea. But all the pages leading up to that last page show you specifically, you know, truck replacements, mower replacements, to a baseball scoreboard that we've had issues with, to a ship's, crack cleaning, resurfacing, turf replacement, that we plan. So we don't come to the board and say, hey, we have to make $1 million investment for this. We've been, you know, squirreling away $25,000 a year in our capital projects to make sure we're able to do that without having a substantial burden on the taxpayer to do these things. So again, this is a draft. It's not set in stone. This is kind of what I work off of. But again, I just updated every week in the budget process. Now, in our last work session, I brought up proposing to have like a some sort of a building grounds construction committee. I know we have something similar to it. It's kind of shot down because it's said you have no potential projects in the future. I mean, it's looking like you have a lot of projects in your 5-year plan that would benefit substantially from having a committee made up of construction, design, engineering, like-minded people to oversee and review some of this stuff and make sure we're spending properly. Yeah, I'm just showing what I mean, I'm not going at it blindly. I mean with, you know, Mr. Bauer, Mr. Bug, you know, Beth Upnagel on a bi-weekly basis to go over needs and wants, Brad including, you know, sit and discuss, say, what we need for this time. And that's where I started trying to plan for these things. But again, it's just what I go off of, like I said, from my last meeting, is that their committee needs to happen on more of these significant, you know, investments, absolutely. I'm not opposed to that. Well,
For the motion on the table.
I'll put that. Call for the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. 3 noes. Motion carries. Again, it's not to say that if, the opportunity in the game becomes up to, as Mr. Lorson stated before, if he could have every sport on campus, he would take that, if the board can help make that happen. Sure, the right conditions. We will do our best. At this time, we'll have board comments and reports. Mr. Bjorkman, would you please comment on the community-wide safety committee?
Sure, the district exercise that was intended for tomorrow, rep jury has been, because possible weather.
Exactly, yeah, weather and Mr. Taggy's not available, so.
So two district-wide, post exercise is focusing on the evacuation accountability of students, and again, May 22nd, is that correct?
Yeah.
We've all seen, probably written over the speed bumps, Dan. You mentioned elementary school, is that part of the longer term plan as well too?
We're going to these ones, stopping in the grass, so.
Maybe a couple behind the baseball field.
Yes, we just ordered, one.
Yeah, the latest shipment just arrived yesterday, so we have enough now to complete the rest of this campus. Along with, I believe there's 10 slated to go out at the elementary campus.
I view it as positive, but has anyone heard any feedback from community members, you know, good, bad, or ugly? I'm just curious about
Nothing negative, I've heard positive that it's working.
When I arrived tonight, I was watching people as I was parking, watching people going around them. If nobody's parked in the spaces, they're driving out around and. But, you know.
The third piece was just a reminder about, you know, everything that happened several months ago, but just keeping that conversation ongoing about security measures, which we have been, but metal detectors, whether metal detectors or wands, clear view asset protection, you know, was something that was talked about. Clear backpacks, I've researched that as something many school districts are doing just here in Pennsylvania. Again, not saying that's the option, but again, it's part of the discussion about security, and not letting those ideas just, you know, wither on the vine. Just keep that in mind for both our students and all employees. Efforts.
Thank you. Our rep board, Mr. Linebacker or Mr. Zickalall, do you have anything to report?
We didn't meet this month. Meeting was scheduled.
No recreating. And Mr. Bjorkman, again on the wellness, do you have anything to report?
I do. I apologize to the committee last time. I did not report on it, and I should have, so that is my fault. But I attended the last wellness meeting, the quarterly meeting, meeting for the summer. But first thing I wanted to mention was that Pennsylvania Department of Education conducted an administrative review, sounded like an audit or evaluation of its food and nutrition services department on site back in February, and it was very impressive. No findings, and was very positive overall. The wellness committee planned and conducted a red day wrap up. They did district-wide health promotion to get that out, including a donation drive. They raised $1,370.75. That was donated to the American Heart Association. Had some CPR and demos. It says here in middle school, high school cafeteria, heart health testing. They in March did a activities for the National Nutrition Month, April family food box events, and in the future there's the Wellness Day events. Again, Jamie says August. That's still the intention. And then I thought it was pretty interesting that the district is using the Calm app, CALM Calm app, and as of the writing of this document, maybe a month or two ago, they have 65 employees sign up at the district for a 31.7% sign up rate. And some of the anecdotal comments, there's an interesting mental health initiatives and desire for more training, et cetera, came up. And, you know, in addition to physical health, mental health, that was noted by employees in that survey as well too. So that's the report from health and wellness. Yeah, sorry for not putting that out initially, but the next quarter.
Thank you. And from the IU, Mr. Nicola, I think, report.
I mean, you know, I sent you all the board notes from the meeting, but one thing that did come up with, that there was some discussion on with this superintendent's meeting, whatever they have it, and they have it in Hershey. There was a discussion about whether, boy, why is RIU meeting down, what is that, bringing everyone else to town to Hershey to meet, but then it was, the point was brought out that, it is not cheap, but whether the superintendent attends, every school district is paying an equal share to have the meeting down there in Hershey, so. Try and go there, for paying it anyway, but, so, and that's, and I think everyone's heard that Rebecca Gibney, who is a curriculum position up there, she designed, her husband coaches doctors, like some positive out of different colleges, and she was leaving the area, and it affect us, and it was for us. Certainly I have. One other thing, just a follow-up from our work session, I know in the past, it was not the recent past, we were presenting with this, an electronic sign in front of, in front of the elementary school, and I know we said no, because it was a very costly sign, but Ms. Lindsay brought up a work session, boy, why don't we have a non-electronic sign, a wood sign out front of shed, and perhaps in a future meeting, we could have something to that effect.
Mr. Eggman, Mr. Bauer, I've been working on it. We got two drawings for you to look at here soon. Great.
Thank you. Mr. Wenzel, anything from Act 48 committee?
The comprehensive planning committee, in conjunction with that, has been meeting, and they will meet again next Wednesday.
Mrs. Brian, anything from CPC?
I wasn't at that particular meeting.
There was a meeting since the,
Mhm.
I did attend, it was a gate meeting. That was, they had great presentations from their students of the month. Again, I'm just blown away by these impressive students. I believe one was computer science, and gave a great video presentation of what he's learning at CTC, what his future plans are at Penn College to continue everything he's learned, the hands-on stuff there. And working in the evenings and stuff, on computers and things, so he's applying what he's learned at CPC daily. And the other student was a culinary student, another student going on to Penn College for their amazing program that they send tons of students out to the world with world renowned, their culinary program. So impressive young students there. They did have some of the faculty get up and speak. They're looking more closely at their, basically the same thing, a comprehensive plan. They've kind of always done these things for years, but they never had a plan, or it wasn't in writing, especially when new faculty came on board, as far as an onboarding process and a mentor and things like that. Now this is a formal process for their faculty, and it seems to be working very well for the new faculty. And just seems like a lot of good things happen there. Of course, they're working towards their construction project, hopefully in the future down there. And proceeding with the fundraising and grant writing things for that, and hopefully we'll have an update from Dr. Skaluba in the future on that. So I have CPC and Dr. Edmonds, anything from the Lansing Foundation?
I can be very brief, but we had a good meeting this month, and pleased to share that there was an additional state gift from Student Foundation that will expand and buttress the scholarship for students.
Great news, thank you. At this time, we'll open the floor to public comments regarding anything. Again, please state your name, address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Any public comments?
Nothing there.
Nothing on the email. Mr. Wenzel has a comment regarding our.
This was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I'd like to thank the teachers. I know what hard work they do, having done a lot of it myself, and I understand it. And in the last few years, they've been asked to do more and more and more. And they continue to build strong relationships with the students and take a caring, concerned attitude with the students. And that goes a long way. The academics are important, but the relationship building is the most important. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe there is rumors of a cookout possibly at the end of next week for all of our faculty and teachers at both schools, so more to follow on that in the very near future. Seeing no other public comments, our next board meeting will be June 12th, 2024, with our final budget from Mr. Egley. And I have a motion to adjourn.